Just to pick up on what the speaker said there, are you in for a late night? Do you actually expect a vote on the floor this evening?
I do. I think the first vote will be simply to adjourn for the day and then come back in and have a Rules Committee product to take up, and hopefully a self-executing rule that will allow us to fund the government from the House perspective through May 22nd. That puts us kind of right before Memorial Day in terms of our legislative calendar. So I think that could happen tonight around maybe 10:30. It could go into the middle of the night. But what the Senate sent over, and I had to be convinced of this, did not have any funding in it for ICE or Border Patrol. Listen, we had an election on this. President Trump won. People want the border secured. And when we saw that, and then I verified it, it's right there in Section 4, and we just can't vote for that.
Well, that was the whole point of the deal, right, is that since ICE has money for the next several years through the big, beautiful bill, this would get things back open. And then the talk was to have ICE funding then brought forth in a reconciliation package. Is that whole scenario off the table now?
Well, I think we should be able to do this with 60 votes in the Senate at some point. Listen, the one big beautiful bill did have money for ongoing operations, but not staff money. It had money for building the wall, technology, actual securing of the border for the Border Patrol. But it didn't have any money in there to pay Border Patrol agents or any money in there to pay ICE agents. When we got the Senate bill in Section 4, it basically took those two sub-agencies down to $0. And then I looked and compared it to the House version. We affirmatively fund those two agencies. There's $0 in there. And I don't think Americans want to go to bed tonight knowing that the Border Patrol agents and all the folks that are working without a paycheck aren't watching the border.
Well, it's interesting because until now we had kept hearing that ICE was fully funded through, I believe, 2028 or 29. That was clearly not the case in your view.
Well, we spent literally an hour and 45 minutes on with the speaker, and then we had a Main Street Caucus with another 55 members. We got a hold of appropriation staff. We got a hold of Homeland Security Committee staff. We drilled down into that issue, and in fact, that money doesn't go towards staffing. It can be used in other ways, but it will not keep the Border Patrol open.
Okay. Congressman, we heard from the president just a couple of moments ago. He's on his way to Miami, where he's going to be speaking a short time from now at an investment conference that's happening there. He was asked about this break between the Senate and the House, and I'd love for you to listen to what he said. We'll have you respond.
I understand John Thune and I understand Mike Johnson. They want to be sure that people aren't coming into our country like they have for the last 4 years. I don't want to say they've ruined it. They made my job a lot harder.
So I guess the split here in Congress is giving the president some agita. Has he weighed in on this with the Speaker of the House? I know that he's had a couple of interviews, but he never fully endorsed that Senate plan. Will the president make the final call on this?
Well, of the three branches of government today, the executive branch gets the gold star because he signed an executive order that allows them to use some discretionary money to pay TSA agents. And I think that's really what's driven this pressure point, and that should eliminate those lines, get our air traffic moving again. You should not stand in a line for 6 hours in Houston. That's Washington totally abdicating its responsibility. So, first of all, the president did all of us a favor by signing that today. I think what you're intimating there is correct. I saw on another network that he said that he wasn't in support of what the Senate did. He's managing relationships between his friend John Thune and his friend Mike Johnson. Listen, what they did was at 3 in the morning. They did it with unanimous consent. For as deliberative of a body as they are, it surprised me. And then when we got to work this morning, somebody said, oh, they sent the funding down to $0 for ICE and CBP. I had to look at it, and I had to read that. And I went to Section 4. I compared it to our bill. I looked at the tables, and they're absolutely right. That is going backwards. That is going backwards in America. As long as the TSA agents are working, and they are on a temporary executive order, and we are going to do this thoughtfully by extending the funding until May 22nd, cooler heads will prevail. We will get through this, and this will be nothing more than a hiccup.
I'd love to ask you about Iran, but just quickly, if you pass this bill tonight, tomorrow, do you actually expect the Senate to come back to town to vote on it?
Well, they're going to have the opportunity to get some feedback over the weekend. You know, I think a lot of Americans woke up this morning, and I was, to be quite frank, I was excited at the idea that the Senate accomplished this. But the idea of not funding those two agencies, I think, doesn't sit well with a lot of Americans. And so I'm hopeful that people will reach out, they'll share their thoughts and their approach to this, and the senators will have the opportunity to use their procedure called unanimous consent on Monday and adopt what we did. Now, I don't think that'll happen. I think those Senate Democrats are pretty bought in. But the good news, again, the Gold Star branch of government today, the executive branch, the TSA lines, I think, were contributing to a lot of the pressure here. That will be taken off the table. We'll get those folks paid, and then we have to do this the right way and fund DHS appropriately so that we're acting in the best interest of the American people.
Just lastly, Congressman, we're looking at a national average for gasoline. Actually went down a tick today, $3.97. I realize you're not paying that in Nebraska. It's $3.36 a gallon. The president just added another 10 days to the clock here on the potential for diplomacy with Iran. Are you comfortable with the trajectory of this war?
Listen, these Iranians have had us in their crosshairs for 49 years. They are the sole and largest sponsor of terror around the world. We're doing what has to be done to rid ourselves of this perennial problem. Yes, higher gas prices are not appreciated nor in any way enjoyed. However, gas prices came crashing down last year in President Trump's first year of his second term. I'm confident that this will be temporary. We'll get the oil moving again. We'll work with other nations to do it. You know, I talked to folks that represent the Kurds yesterday in Iraq, and they're like, thank you, President Trump, for standing up and dealing with something that has been ignored more or less by a lot of American leaders for the better part of 4 decades. Now we've got some action. We've got some progress. We're making progress. This had to be done. It's getting done, and we need to rid Iran of any nuclear material. Unless they want to make electricity, we can certainly find a way to make that happen. But a bomb with our name on it? No, that's not happening.